I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, good evening, Bill Reuter, First Ward.
Barbara Laird, Ward 2.
Ann Berger, 3rd Ward.
Michael Safone, 4th Ward.
Ryan Sharp, 5th Ward.
Ann Schuster, 6th Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
Rebecca Edwards, Supervisor. So just a couple of quick announcements. This week we had, as I'm sure everybody here knows, over a foot of snow, and the highway department was out dealing with a bigger storm than we've dealt with for a long time. And then we had 2 inches of rain, and the wastewater department was out working on keeping the pumps going. And then we had a big windstorm, and the police were out with traffic snarls on Route 9. And then we had snow with sleet in it and some ice out there. So the highway department was out again. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you, because as someone who's having the first opportunity to look up close at the things that the town does and the things town employees do, this was quite a week. And the amount of work that went in was immense. I just, on behalf of everybody in the town, I think, thank you for helping us get out on the roads and keeping us safe. I just wanted to say also that item number 7 on tonight's agenda is to be withdrawn. We need to have further conversation in executive session. This is a hire. It's a personnel matter, and so we're going to need to discuss it a little bit further, and we're not ready to make an appointment quite yet, but stay tuned. Okay. What we do now is suspend the rules. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on items that are on tonight's agenda?
Do you want to read the agenda first?
No, I think Felicia and I have been discussing this, whether I need to read the whole agenda before we begin. I feel like the best thing to do is let people know that copies are in the hallway if people are here and would like a copy, and also available online, and don't really, we'll experiment, but I'm not feeling like I need to read the whole agenda. And if people feel otherwise, let me know, and we'll try it differently next time around. What we want to do now is, do I have a vote to suspend the rules for public comment on items on tonight's agenda?
Yeah.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Public comment for 3 minutes each. Do we have anyone wanting to comment on the agenda tonight?
I think Doreen's raising her hand.
Doreen.
You're on mute, Doreen.
Good.
Hold on 1 second, Doreen. Try now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, and just a reminder, there is a delay, so I have to wait to be unmuted, otherwise I get the message like I just did about the participants really can't unmute themselves, so. Okay, so thank you. My comment is on agenda item number 14, the tax cert settlements. I've talked about this before, so there are 2 businesses who are having their assessments lowered by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And your town residents got their tax bill recently. And again, in 2 years, our assessment on our modest house, 1 bathroom, less than 1,500 square feet, has gone up $117,500, which basically means that all my other taxes went up. Town taxes, fire district taxes, my school taxes. So each time you lower these assessments on these businesses, somebody has to pick up the slack, and that's the rest of the town residents. And again, in case anybody didn't hear any of my prior comments, when I had asked about it last year, in the fall, the supervisor had said that every house in the town was reassessed. That was a total of over 12,000 houses. And 88% of those assessments went up. So when everybody in the town or not everybody, but 88% of town residents are getting increases to their assessments, I really have concerns about businesses that keep getting their assessments lower. So, and again, you just have to keep in mind, I don't have this problem, but there are people who have to choose between paying their taxes and, paying for medication and food and other expenses like that. So, I really ask you to keep an eye on these and, try to limit them. Thank you.
Thank you. So anybody
just
wants to
comment.
speak to that?
Yeah, just briefly that, we all just got our tax bill. So remember that the biggest piece of that is still that Arlington fire tax. So the town tax is still the smallest piece of the pie. It's the school, the Arlington fire tax, and then the town tax, which is kept under the tax cap again. So I feel for you guys. I feel for everyone who's had an increase in their taxes and an increase in their assessment, but we really got to address the Arlington fire tax because that is alarming.
So I'll just say something, and then Mr. Nelson will tell me if I'm wrong here, but I just wanted to say that, to make it clear that these aren't situations in which the town just decided to lower taxes. The town set an assessment, and then there was a legal struggle over that, and the town has to decide how to respond to that. So it wasn't, I understand that we need to keep an eye on those, but it's not that the town is in the situation of being challenged over a higher assessment that the town made. So it's not a voluntary decision in that sense. Is that correct, or would you?
Yes. No,
Yeah, okay.
I don't think that Assessor Mund or Kyle Barnett, with whom I work, there's no pleasure in it for them to bring these ahead. But there is a level of risk if you push these ahead as far as the ultimate outcome. And after you reach a certain point, you are required to retain professional appraisers and undertake that expense. So I'm not a tax certiorari lawyer, but I do know from the distance I'm at that those two do try and do absolutely the best they can to make sure that the town isn't losing anything it should.
Thanks.
Right, so if I may, the tax, certiorari, I think Doreen brings up an excellent point, because when you look at the numbers, although the first matter, and I was going to talk about this at, the resolutions, but being that we have a chance to discuss it, I mean, that's $280,000 reduction, or 14% on this property. Now, as far as I read the case, we didn't have to pay it back. All right, but therefore, from that case, the assessment was in fact reduced. The other one we did have to pay back, and that was another $483,000 reduction, so $750,000 total between the two matters. So I know there's some legalities to it, but the only thing I would like to say is that possibly review the way we assess things and the process. Maybe consider some applications for some conflict appeals or appeals before the fact. As Jim had referred to, they get to the point where we have no choice and we have to go through numbers of different legalities. So maybe open the door to be able to negotiate before we get to that point could be in order, because we are stuck with $760,000 total between these two cases of down assessments, in addition to legal fees and time. So I think it'd be appropriate, at some point, we may discuss in executive session how best to correct or modify at least the process, so people do have a chance to input before the legal things get too far. So,
Well,
thank
if
you.
this is something board members are interested in, we could also create a little ad hoc committee to talk with Kyle and get an understanding of how the town makes the decision, how the town attorneys make the recommendations that they do in more detail. Some of us are new, that could be helpful, so we could do that as well. Any other public comment, people who are here for public comment on items on tonight's agenda? Okay. Then we begin with Resolution 1, and Mr. Reuter from
Do we have to go
Ward.
back to regular?
I'm sorry?
We do it
Correct. Do we have a motion to go back into regular session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, let's go back into regular session then.
Okay,
Resolution
thank you.
number 1.
Resolution 1 from Ward 1. Be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reappoint Susan Carnes Hecht to the chair position on the Town of Poughkeepsie Climate Smart Task Force. Be it also further resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby reappoint Catherine Espinosa, Joan Freeman, Richard Levine, and Kristen Taylor as liaison on the Climate Task Force, which appointments will expire January 17th, 2026. And be it further resolved, Town Board does appoint Barb Laird, liaison, and Mark Murray, on the Climate Smart Task Force, which appointments will expire January 7th, 2026. So moved.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, the resolution passes by a vote of 7-0. And thank you very much to everyone on the Climate Smart Task Force who've been working really, really hard. And I think we're going to hear from them in February about some of the work that they're doing. Okay.
Resolution number 2, this is about the Hudson 7. If you don't know what the Hudson 7 is, it's the Hudson River Drinking Water Intermunicipal Council. And that represents 7 municipalities that draw their water from the Hudson River for drinking. So it serves over 100,000 people, and they are very excited about planning, advocacy, and action. This resolution is hereby designating Supervisor Rebecca Edwards and Councilwoman Ann Shershin from Town of Poughkeepsie to be representatives in this vital partnership of 7 municipalities. So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Stephen Engelhart to the Plumbing Board of Examiners of the Town of Poughkeepsie, which term is effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. So moved.
Second.
Yeah, and I'd just like to thank Steve for stepping up and filling this position. We really appreciate it.
That's terrific.
All right.
Terrific. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Resolved, Town Board of Poughkeepsie does hereby designate Linda Montanino as alternate member of the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals, which is a 4-year term. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you very much to Linda for stepping up. And the alternates are very, very active members of both the Planning Board and the ZBA. And I would say that there is one vacancy each on, I believe, on the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board for an alternate. And so if there are members of the public who are interested in serving in that capacity, we are looking for an additional alternate for each board. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Resolution number 5, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Todd Miller from the Joint City Town Water Board, effective immediately. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Very sorry to see Todd go. Was looking forward to serving with him on the board, but he has some other obligations that he needs to take care of. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with regret 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Thomas Colgan to the Joint City Town Water Board, which term expires December 31st, 2026. So thank you, Tom, for stepping up.
So moved?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I can't think of a better board for him to be sitting on.
Yes, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes 7-0. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the next resolution, number 7, has been withdrawn because we need to have some conversation in executive session about this as a personnel hiring issue. We're not quite there yet. We're going to continue the discussion. So, resolution number 8 does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement between the town and Arlington Animal Hospital, and substantially the form is the contract between the city of Poughkeepsie and the vendor, copy attached. And this is part of ongoing administration of the town. We are required to have a designated animal shelter, and we need to put this in place. So that's the specification of the resolution. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, I just think it's great that we're using a town business since it didn't work out with the SPCA, and we weren't able to continue with them. So I think it's just great that we're using a town business for this.
And I know that there was some conversation about alternatives, but one of the things is that Arlington Animal Hospital does have medical capacity on site, veterinary capacity, so if that's needed, and it's hopefully a good relationship. Okay, any further discussion?
Other than the fact that they have an excellent reputation, and looking forward to working with them.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Okay, Resolution 9, be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby find that it is in the best interest of the town, pursuant to town procurement policy, ART 13C, to authorize the supervisor to sign a legal retainer between the Town of Poughkeepsie and Gordon and Svensson, LLP, at the rates stated, and substantial form annex without solicitation of alternative proposals. The fees were $200 for an attorney in basic and $115 an hour for paralegal, and a 1% monthly late fee for late fees. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? I was going to say this, yes, go
Well, I would
ahead.
just like to say, I don't have a problem with bringing them in, but usually in the past, we've met with the attorneys before we, met with them. So I haven't met them. I had printed this offline.
Okay.
So, I know Jim works with them. Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that makes it a little easier, but I would have preferred to have sit down and talk to them.
Okay, that's good to know, and we can do that. Emily Svensson has been at town halls several times, but I realize it hasn't been when the board is here, so we'll arrange that. And this doesn't change what we did at the last meeting, it just sort of ratifies it. But duly noted, and I'll make an opportunity soon for both of them to meet with the board. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
This is resolution number 10, and that's to allow the town board to ratify the supervisor's execution of a letter agreement with Jessica Servideo for emergency accounting consulting services. Her rate is $200 an hour, but that was not to exceed $2,500, just in the interim until we hire a new comptroller. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. I think with this situation, whether avoidable or not, I would like to suggest, whether we do it today or an executive session, that we kind of take this position out of, the political process, if you will, and either we make it a regular, rather than an appointed position, a regular position, but moreover, probably the best alternative is to extend the requirement for notification. So rather than a 2-week notice, we might say, because it's such a critical position, we have a 3-month notice requirement or a 6-month notice requirement, so that would give us time in the future to, should the resignation occur, give us time in the future to come up with a plan to be able to replace such a critical position for the town.
Okay, that speaks to the hiring of a new comptroller then.
I'm saying from this, yes,
Yeah,
from this
this
point
point
forward,
forward.
right,
Okay.
from this
Well-
point forward.
Actually, this wasn't part of the political situation. This was just a perfect storm, where we had a comptroller who left on her own free will. She was actually asked to stay. We asked her to continue on, and she chose to take a better position, which we cannot deny her on that. She was being offered more money to move to another
Well,
town.
My conversations aren't totally in the same manner as yours, what you're saying, but,
Well-
and I don't want to really get into it here, but that's not the way I perceived it.
Okay, that's
So-
fine. That's
And Mike,
what-
and Mike, here's what I'm saying. We have the responsibility now to correct the situation. Whatever it is, the buck stops with us, the supervisor and us.
So
All I'm saying is that for the future, when we have the next hire, this is a critical position for the town of Poughkeepsie. Let's not go with a 2-week notice to have them
Okay.
resign if that's.
Okay,
So can I divide up, so this particular resolution is about, and I would appreciate everyone's support, It's about making sure that, as Ann said, in a perfect storm, we were able to have the former comptroller assist with things we needed to know to make sure that the finance department was continuing its ongoing work. And so we've contracted with her while we're in the interim and the search for a comptroller. As far as the question of how much of a notice we require an employee to give, that seems to me to be another topic for maybe another discussion.
Could be.
And I
Yeah,
just
and
don't
I-
see how you would ever mandate that.
Well, and before I was interrupted, what I was trying to say too is we have built-in redundancy, but unfortunate, our deputy comptroller also left. So this was beyond our control and beyond something that we saw coming, and the clerk left too. So we just had nobody left in
Well,
that.
that's not necessarily true. We were losing Pasquale, but we did not have to lose Jessica. I'd rather just stay on course with where we are and just
Okay.
get this approved, because we're gonna disagree on why Jessica left, okay?
Right.
And I don't wanna make it political.
I don't think any of this needs to be political. I think that this resolution is about making sure that the former comptroller can assist in making sure that we have the information we need right now in order to make sure that the comptroller's functions are carried out. So, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed? Yes, okay, so the motion carries 6-1.
That was you who read, right?
Yes.
Okay. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to extend for 1 year the contract with Cityscape Consultants for professional wireless consulting services at the same rate and terms as the contract dated January 13, 2023, a copy of which is attached. Be it further resolved, the board does not find it to be in the best interest of the town at this point to solicit alternative proposals. And it's a type 2 action requiring no secret review, no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just one comment on this is that I think this is an excellent proposal pertaining to item 8. It would be nice to have an actual copy of the insurance and the policy number, rather than just a reference to it, so that we have ensured that the town of Poughkeepsie is named as an additional insured, and there's a waiver, so we actually see the policy number.
When we send out the cover letters, saying, here's the resolution, there is a standard clause that says, please sign, return. and
So we do
give
get
us-
that.
Give us copies of your insurance.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes 7-0.
Yeah, it's not, you have it.
Okay, whereas Emergency One currently provides employee drug screening, inoculations, COVID PCR tests, and various other medical services to the town. Therefore, be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a procurement policy, does authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Emergency One to provide professional service to the town through December 31st, 2024. So moved.
Second? Any discussion?
This is who we've always used?
Uh,
Is this a new contract, a new offering?
It's a new contract, but with the same company that we've been using for
Oh,
testing.
okay,
So
okay.
it's a renewed contract, but there isn't a change in the provider for
okay.
testing. Okay.
I do have a question on this, but, so we're using Emergency One, which is an emergency service, what do you call them there?
Urgent care.
Urgent care center, thank you. So why would we not consider, like, say, Mid-Hudson Regional Hospital, who has doctors which provides workplace services? Is that something we've ever considered?
I think we did have them a couple of years ago. I think
Yeah.
this is just probably.
And this kind of worked out better with the town as far as the
Yeah.
availability?
It seems to work. It's, there's more avenues for them, for our employees to go get the testing, instead of just one location.
Okay,
Multiple locations, and there haven't been any problems with the contract so far as we know.
all right.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Resolution 13, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to retain JMC Site Development Consultants, which has submitted a proposal to perform traffic engineering services per the attached proposal. It is being in the best interest of the town not to solicit additional proposals. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, we've worked with this company multiple times, and they've done a great job with us, so we've got quite a history with them.
So we've used this company
Yes.
before. To what extent is the contract dollar amount? Has it
It's-
been in the past? or
Well, it's
Actual expenditures?
It's depending on what they're doing, what the service
Right.
scope is, and if it's a big project or not, or
Right.
something similar like what we approved last week or 2 weeks ago
Okay.
for
Well-
the traffic study.
Well,
traffic
forgive me, I'm new at this, but it seems like every contract we receive is of a different structure. So this one doesn't have any reference to liability insurance. And so maybe the council can help me.
In our, as far as the cost goes, JMC, which does work regularly with the planning board, actually more than it does with the town board, although frequently it does traffic studies for the placement and removal of lights and signs. When Mike Welty and then I looked at their rates had not been changed in a couple of years. So this
Right.
was updated on a cost of living basis. And our previous contract and this one will have attachments for the insurance coverages and the indemnity and the other, what I call standard contracts.
Okay. So do they provide us a proposal, or is it as written, like, it's not really written that way, it's written that, you sort of let us know to start work, and then we'll let you know what the scope of the project is. So have in the past this organization given us a proposal which says this is what the project will cost in advance of work?
My recollection, Mr. Safone, is, because it has happened in your ward, I think that when we ask them to do a traffic study as to a particular light or signal, that we will ask them, by the way,
Right.
can you give us an approximation of what this is going to cost? And-
That is correct.
And then we do a resolution to proceed.
Correct. Yeah.
That's my
Okay,
recollection.
so it's a little tighter than it's written here, as far as, we're gonna just start it and then let you know. They give you an advance, kind of an advance.
Yeah, and yes, and my
Okay.
recollection is
Okay.
that there have been projects where the cost, let's say, of removing a very complex facility, rather than turning it to one which was a constant flash, if you will, was something which the town decided we don't want the light, but we don't want to pay to remove the whole
Okay.
structure,
Okay.
and it budgeted it down.
Okay, good, so we have some management capability. Okay, thank you.
That would be the same with the number of consulting contracts on this, where they're on a case-by-case basis when you need something done.
Yes.
I would think, yes. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Be it resolved, this is Resolution 14A. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the settlement of a tax certiorari proceeding instituted by Cornwall Management LLC for property located in the Town of Poughkeepsie at 695 Dutchess Turnpike for the 2023 tax assessment rolls as shown in the attached consent judgment. And be further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie hereby authorizes the supervisor or her designee, the town assessor, Jennifer Munt, and Kyle Barnett of Vanderwater LLC to sign such papers as necessary to effectuate the settlement. It says, or his designee. Oh. I thought you added some.
You want, and
I
you
think
wanna
we
move
could
it?
take that as a friendly amendment.
Yes.
Wanna move it?
So moved?
So moved.
Second. All right. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 7-0. All right, Resolution 14B, is another tax certiorari proceeding, Welltower OM Group. The original assessed valuation by the town was $10,883,000. And then after the legal proceeding, the town is agreeing to reduce the amount by $483,000 for a final assessed valuation of $10,400,000. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
The only thing I would add to the previous is that I was a little struck by the decision that the assessment would remain the same for 4 years. So, which was a pretty staggering decision, I would say.
Doesn't normally
Through
do that.
2027. That's correct? Yeah. Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, resolution 15. Be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of request on behalf of Hari Ram Incorporated, 779 Dutchess Turnpike, Poughkeepsie, for a waiver of 30-day review of liquor license. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the task request. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Item number 16, excuse me, is a notification of an adult use retail dispensary. They have applied for a license. The name of the company is 4J's. They're at 35 Fairmont Avenue.
These things are
And
funny because they're just,
Yeah, you don't have to get too much into it, it's just
Yeah.
a notification.
Right.
yeah, we just started learning about them at the end of last year.
It's not entirely clear that we actually need to vote on this, right? We're just
Right.
being
Yeah, it's a
notified, right?
notification.
Announce that
It's a notification, the address given where this may happen is, it's not a legal dispensary until it comes before the town board for a special permit.
So we're getting a lot of these. It does not mean that there will be a dispensary at that site. It's simply a notification from the state, the new state Office for Cannabis Management, that this,
To
a
the state,
license.
from the folks.
That has been, that now we are being informed also that a license has been applied for.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote?
No.
Yeah, it's just a notification,
So
right?
Just a
Just a
notification.
comment, Supervisor Edwards. So do we had a number of these, I sort of lost track, but we will at some point have sort of a plan of where they're located and where because
They have to come before the town board, Bill, to get a special permit.
And they
For
have
their
to get
location.
a license from the state.
I understand that, but we've had a number of these before, so.
But none of them have licenses.
Right.
Well,
So
no,
none of these
Okay.
people.
One of them has the first one.
One of them is not working on it.
Yeah.
Right.
You mean?
But those
Scott?
have come, right, those have come before.
Well, yes,
the-
that
Yeah,
one,
they
but
got the special
We've had
use
about
permit
7 of
from
them.
us.
But all of these, no, I know, but all of these permits that we get, I mean, these are not permits, these are just notifications.
They're just
It's as if I said, I want to open up a business in my garage tomorrow. I'm going to be doing business as, Ann Berger LLC. It's literally like this could not come to, the chances of it coming to fruition are small to none. And they would have to get a license from New York
Okay.
State in the first place. So
Right. This
none
is-
of that has
right.
even
Okay, I
happened.
understand.
This is just a notification of the application.
That we're
And if
trying.
anybody's gonna
Yes,
open an actual
yes.
shop, they go through the process with the planning
It would
board.
take a long time. before
So,
they-
so a notification that they're trying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So we don't need a vote. Okay, who was doing resolution 17 for the minutes?
Me.
All right.
All right. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the minutes for the following 2023-2024 town board meetings to wit: September 13th, 2023, committee of the whole and a special town board meeting; the December 20th meeting of 2023, committee of the whole and the regular town board meeting; and January 3rd, 2024 was our reorganizational town board meeting. So moved.
second.
And I realized right before the meeting that I had a question for Mr. Nelson, which is who can vote on these if one was present in the room but not serving on the board? Can one vote? Or does one have to have been on the board to vote for these because we might not have a majority?
If a board member a present board member was either present or familiarized themselves with what happened during the meeting, which to me would be to, watch the footage of it and probably to look at the draft minutes, but probably better to look at the whole proceeding than they can vote.
Or to be present for the meeting.
Oh,
in-
of course,
right,
yes.
right,
Pardon.
right.
And
Okay, good, right.
you're accepting them, actually, and I don't even, yeah, so.
Right, okay. All right, that's good, I just wanted that clarification. Any further discussion? Any alterations to the minutes? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes accepted 7-0, and thank you very much, Felicia.
You're welcome.
Okay, number 18 is, be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized supervisor to execute addendum number 10. This is tably inform and X to the Poughkeepsie Water Sale and Purchase Agreement between the Poughkeepsie Joint Water Board and Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, acknowledging the town's consent to the water sale of 34,950 gallons per day of potable water for the West Campus Water Improvement Area of Fishkill. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And
19, just refer to legal, no, just refer to legal.
Resolution 19, referred to legal.
Correct.
That's been
Yep.
forwarded to your carrier.
It's been forwarded and we don't need to vote, we're just notifying, right?
And then you can do 22,
Okay, good.
And number 20 is just,
attorney-clients.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, that concludes the votes for this portion of the meeting. We're just going to have our first workshop meeting for a little while and talk about committees for 2024, the board committees. And very briefly, committee chairs may want to talk a little bit about the work of those committees. We are making some changes to the structure of board committees, and so we're experimenting here a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. After we talk about this for a little bit, we will move to suspend the rules for public comment on any issue that people would like to discuss, and then we need to go into executive session to consider a few things. So the board committees as they stand now are a Finance, Grants, and Revenues Committee, which I will chair, and Barbara Laird and Ryan Sharp will serve with me. This is not the committee that will receive the budget, but will meet monthly throughout the year, focusing on grants and revenue, and working with the new comptroller on other financial issues, and will report working on revenue and income in particular. Then the budget committee will be separate because the supervisor should not be on the committee that receives the budget. That's the other members of the board. So Ann Shershin will chair the budget committee, which will do the bulk of its work in the fall, with Barbara Laird and Ann Berger. And Ann, did you want to say anything about that committee?
Nope, it's just gonna be the same familiar financial committee as we've had in the past, so. You're right, primarily would be involved in the fall.
And we'll have budget workshops and
Yep.
preliminary and
Yep.
final version. Okay, good. In addition, because Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services is an area that has seemed to need some attention and care from the board, we divided after consultation with a number of people, I divided that into two committees. One will focus on the senior center and services for senior citizens. Mike Saffone will chair with Bill Reuter and Ann Shershin on that committee. And Mike, did you want to say anything about that?
We'll be getting together and planning out how we're going to go about doing that, and we'll be working with Recreation and the Senior Center, and hopefully we'll be hiring somebody down there as well. So we'll get a grasp of what's needed and move forward.
That's great. Thank you very much. The other part of that is Parks, Recreation, and Youth Programs, and Ryan Sharp will chair that committee with Ann Berger and Barbara Laird. And Ryan, would you like to say a little bit about that?
Just looking forward to working with Ann and Barbara. I met with Janet. She's doing a tremendous job, and I believe there's a lot of things in store that you'll be excited about.
Wonderful. We are also going to have a committee to move forward the police and court facility with dispatch. Barbara Laird and Ryan Sharp have agreed to serve with me. We haven't met yet to see if I can persuade either Barb or Ryan to chair that committee, but we will hope to be reporting back sometime soon. We also have Mike Saffone and Bill Reuter have generously agreed to serve on the Fire Advisory Committee. And we have a number of other appointments where, for example, Ann Berger is the liaison to the CAC, the Conservation Advisory Committee, which is a big job. We didn't put all of those on there. These are just the board committees. I'm hoping that each of these committees will report monthly, and we'll be meeting monthly and reporting monthly, and in our workshop meeting or at whatever is the most appropriate time. So we'll work in the next few days to set up initial meetings for these committees. Probably not budget quite yet, but the others as well.
Yeah, Fire Advisory, I did reach out today. They didn't hold, I mean, the fire district didn't have a meeting in January, so they're scheduled in February. So I'll get with Bill and we'll get over the
Great.
meetings.
That's great. And that's a representative from each of the 3 fire districts,
Yes.
right? As well as the 2 board members, right? Okay, good. Any further conversation about committees? We good? Okay, then I would move that we suspend the rules for public comment on items not related to, on any item, not necessarily related to the agenda, but on any item that members of the public might wish to comment on for up to 3 minutes. And what we've usually done, I think, is take folks who are here in the room first and then move to the folks who are on Zoom. So anyone who's in the room who would like to present for 3 minutes, please come forward, let us know who you are.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Regina Klein. I live in the 5th Ward. I handed the clerk a chart that everybody can have a copy of that shows the town of Poughkeepsie 2024 Fire District comparative tax rates. Property owners have all recently received property tax bills, unless you pay your taxes by escrow account. I encourage anybody who does so to go online and actually view your tax bill to find out why you were paying what you were paying. I'm here to ask our Town of Poughkeepsie Town Board to address the elephant in the room, the disparity in the tax rates for emergency protection services within the town of Poughkeepsie. I have prepared this simple analysis comparing the fire district tax rates for our town. As we look at this comparison, one has to question what services are being delivered, and are there differences in the services being delivered? Through the wonders of mutual aid, everyone should be receiving the same services regardless of the tax rate for emergency protection services. However, we all know that in Dutchess County, different locations are receiving different levels of service. There are people in our county who are trying to address this issue, primarily from the perspective of emergency health services. How have these financial and service disparities arisen? Where does the responsibility for the creation of this monster rest? The creation of fire districts by municipalities was based on state legislation. The administration and management of fire districts, including the election of the Board of Fire Commissioners and the imposition of taxes on properties within the fire district, is also controlled by state legislation. So what does this mean for the town of Poughkeepsie property owners, residents, and visitors? Services are required to be delivered to all those in need with no fee for service. Some fire districts have paid professionals delivering those services, and others solely rely on volunteers. The Arlington Fire District in the town of Poughkeepsie has the largest real property tax assessment in all of New York State. The tax rate in the Fairview Fire District is even higher than the tax rate in the Arlington Fire District. There are fire districts all over the state that are confronting the issues that we are seeing. I think it is time to take the gloves off and really study what has happened. What can be done to find a more equitable and better solution to the delivery of emergency protection services and the costs of those services in the town of Poughkeepsie? I ask this town board to establish a committee to research this issue. And I'd like to suggest that any taxpayers, please contact your town board member to get involved with this effort. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any other people who were here tonight in the room who wanted to speak? Then we will turn to Zoom. I think Bill Crane is first. Yeah.
Bill Crane? Hold on one moment. Bill, can you unmute yourself?
Unmute myself, yeah.
Perfect.
Here, we can hear you.
Okay. I'd like to speak again on the Vassar Deer Call. At the last meeting, I was surprised and impressed by the fact that the deer are being drawn to the Vassar farm to be shot, being drawn by food. They're being baited, so they're coming from probably coming from outside of the farm into the farm. And the deer themselves have never really been just residents of the deer farm. Deer have about a 5-mile route. They're a migratory species that has a 5-mile route that they take. They wander around in sort of a circle that begins and ends at the place where they were born. So they, I don't think that it would be right to say that the deer are the farm's property in any sense. I think they are more the town. It's more the town that has responsibility for them. They're more under the care of the town. And I think you have some authority here, and I hope you will look into this. Now, to me, the main issue is whether we humans will show respect and compassion for other living beings. Instead of just trying to solve problems we have with other species, instead of just killing them, well, we look for alternatives, like in this case, immunocontraception would be effective if there is really a problem. So I hope the board, perhaps at a work session, a workshop, will look into the issues of your legal authority, and I hope you will take a stand in defense of respect for the deer and a humane position with respect to them, and either take legal action, or if not, take a stand and express your humane position to the college. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Larry, do you want to go next?
Unmuted myself.
Sounds good.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Yep.
Well, just following up on what Bill just said, we know that you were supposedly going to have a committee examine this. And also, I would like to know, is there any communication between any of the board or the board as a whole with President Bradley and Vassar? Was there any effort made to stop it? Was there any decision made on any of this? Because I have no idea what happened actually during starting the deer killing dates.
Larry, I was invited to the college. I was just waiting for them to give me a date, and I was gonna go talk to the president and 2 other people that she wanted me to meet with. I just they have not set a date yet for me to go, but I'm waiting for a response.
Well, we hope that would happen before the killing happened this year, but was there anything else that happened? Any more communication between anybody?
I've been in conversation with the college as well about just following up with some questions that were raised.
Is there any opinions about this?
Well, we have not put it on the agenda for a board discussion, but, you know, we're, as last month, happy to listen to public concerns. I believe the preserve is open again, so I think that, you know, for this year, it's not an immediate issue, at least at this time. I don't know if that helps or not. I'm not sure I fully understand the question. And I don't know if there's other board members,
you're
other
saying
board members who
supervi-
wish to speak.
Go ahead, Larry.
I mean, we just had a short, within a day or two, the killing was gonna start. Right after the meeting that I last spoke about this. And I was
Well-
hoping that there would be some immediate contact. Depending on how board members felt about this, whether it might be the board as a whole, maybe it would be individual members who have certainly done it before. But now, you know, if nothing was done, and nothing even attempted, or no contact made.
The preserve was closed.
It goes to next year. I'm
The,
sorry?
the preserve was closed for a couple of weeks before our first meeting this fall, this winter, and just reopened a couple of days ago. So I don't have any information about the you know, the dates that you're saying in terms of, you know, when the call took place. I don't know.
Well, it takes place in January 1st, some days between January 1st and January 14th.
I think what Larry is asking is, as a board, have we gotten together to discuss a plan of action?
Right.
Based on our personal opinions on the issue and, you know, constituent feedback? So the answer to that is no. But individually, I think some representatives have, or board members have taken it upon themselves to call Vassar, Mike's a phone, setting up a meeting, obviously. Yes, it's too late this year, you know, to your point, the damage has been done. But moving forward, you know, Mike, for instance, you're going just to talk about the future of where this is gonna be, so we can perhaps, if there's gonna be a change, obviously it wouldn't be this year, but next year. So I think the steps are being laid out now. But as far as a meeting, Larry, there was not a meeting amongst the seven of us, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, Vassar has a history, they won't tell anybody whether they're going to do it next year or not. That's part of the problem.
Well, I bet they are.
They keep it very hidden, and, until it's almost too late to do anything about it.
And we can certainly ask questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, please, okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Georgette?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I raised my hand before the young lady went to the table and gave her presentation, which I agree with 100%. I originally put my hand up because I wanted to tell Ann Berger, who said something to the effect that the problem was the Arlington Fire Department. And I wanted to make sure you understand that the Fairview Fire Department is just as expensive and out of control with, I don't understand the accountability of spending the taxpayers' money. And Mike, I was wondering, what does the fire committee that you're the head of do?
Well, I just got on it, but basically, I'm not quite sure 100%, but I will be bringing any issues from the fire district to the public. So if they're having problems with ambulance service or what have you, I'm sure that's what we'll be discussing and how they're going about to get that solved. But I don't, it's a new committee to me, so I don't know 100%.
Yeah, I was previously on that committee, and they discussed fire safety issues, and they discuss about getting fire safety messages out in the public and any issues we've had, and they also discuss fire inspectors going into buildings and, you know, accessibility of buildings, and keys can be found to the back door so they can get into buildings when fire alarms go off and things like that. So it's primarily about fire safety.
Okay, well, I do remember in 2020, the Fairview Fire Department had a 21% tax increase.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was just floored me, because in 2020 is when people were losing their jobs with food insecurity, housing insecurity, and yet, you know, there just seems to be no accountability, and it's very expensive. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Thank you.
Well, I will say there are a few county legislators that are looking to bring forth a resolution to go county-wide for fire service, so everybody would pay a fair share. But there's going to be problems with that when you have people in New Hamburg would never vote for it because, you know, they pay, what, $300 a year versus what somebody in Fairview pays maybe $2,000 a year. So it's really going to have to be a county-wide district that we're going to have to try to look really hard into to get something done that's going to benefit everybody that's in a paid district.
Well, couldn't you bring the controller into it? I mean, I know I tried to talk to the county controller and the state controller, and I got no results. But, you know, there's somebody, they have to be accountable for all that money.
The state controller did do a audit on Fairview, and we have not gotten back the results yet of that audit. I do know from just conversations that they didn't find anything wrong, but we haven't gotten any recommendations back yet.
If it's helpful to add, you know, one of the immediate pressures right now is difficulty with ambulance service and EMS. Empress has the service that's most widely used around here, and it's become more difficult for people to get an ambulance to come when they call. Some of you probably noticed this is a statewide problem. The city of Kingston set up its own ambulance service. Different municipalities are looking at different responses. I know that there is a conversation, as Mike said, about at the county level, and the new county executive is holding a meeting next week with mayors and supervisors to talk about, I think, this among other issues. So if I can learn anything about what's going on at the county level and sort of get a sense of what the countywide conversation is, I'll be glad to bring it back. Some of the rural districts in the eastern part of the county have one problem, which is that they have volunteer services that are having difficulty getting volunteers, and so there's long wait times. Here, the wait times are not long, but we have the cost issue, right? So different municipalities are facing different problems, but it's definitely a widespread issue. So that's not the only issue in the fire districts, but it is the most pressing current issue, both of public safety and of finance. So.
And as you have said, Supervisor Edwards, the New Hamburg ambulance, I see it's in Ms. Klein's information here. It's blank, but there has been a new contract that has increased significantly, whereas Arlington Fire, as I understand it, the ambulatory service is built into the tax levy number. However, it still doesn't come close to the percentages. So Mike and I are looking at it. We're going to be looking at it, and the whole team will look at it. Thank you, Ms. Klein, for your information and your impactful statement. You remind me of my father, who's a resident of town LaGrange. Loved the town of LaGrange. Did not like the tax increases from the fire department. And so you're absolutely right. This has been a long-standing issue, and we need to spend some more time to take a look at it.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, sure. Go right ahead. We have. Let's one more person. Well,
just
go ahead
1
and
minute.
respond, and then we have one more person who wanted to comment as well.
Maybe just 1 minute. Yeah.
Just very quickly. That's why I am asking you.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry.
That you put together a committee to really evaluate the whole thing. Yes, directly you have no impact on the way it's set up right now, but as I said in my presentation, that's all dictated by the way the state laws are written.
Sure.
Maybe we need to do something to get those state laws to be changed. Let's not just sit here and say, we have no control, because this is simply not acceptable from any perspective. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Klein, we absolutely hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I
Doreen?
think- Doreen.
Hey, thank you. Just so you know, when Gina came back up to the table there, we lost the sound, I think, here through Zoom.
Okay.
So we couldn't hear the, that part. Hopefully it'll be on, the recording. So, quickly, I will send something to the, town board from Patterns for Progress. I think it was at least 10 years ago, where they said that one of the things that they looked into was, emergency services in Dutchess County. And it said that the general consensus at that time was they brought it to the attention of supervisors and mayors, and the consensus was that people didn't want to touch that because it was a political issue, and they just didn't want to touch it because nobody, nobody in the fire district wants to give up their power, and that's what will happen if you end up with a centralized countywide service, which for years we've been saying is the way to go. But I'm just saying that it's been recognized how hard that will be, and how people have avoided that because, partially for political reasons. But, so I will send you information that I have from Patterns for Progress from back then.
Doreen, do you have there was a 2017 study that was done at the county level that resulted in might be a 2016 study that resulted in the creation of a countywide task force in 2017? And again, at the county level, which I can send if you.
Yeah, no, the one I'm talking about is the Patterns for Progress. I probably have the other one also.
Patterns for Progress would be valley-wide, I suspect.
Yeah, so, again, I'll find that later on and send it to you, and, board members can just take a look at it. There was just one other thing I wanted to talk about. There were several mentions about executive session tonight, about, maybe discussing how the tax certs are handled, and how contracts, 2 weeks isn't enough, maybe 3 months. So I'm sure Mr. Nelson will be happy to advise everyone, and I would ask that the new board members familiarize themselves with the 8 valid reasons. The 8 subjects can be discussed behind closed doors for executive session. And something like 2 weeks notice versus 3 months, that's a very general thing. And it doesn't involve the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person. And anyway, the point is there's only certain things you can discuss in executive session. I hope you will familiarize yourselves, those new board members, maybe you don't know. And again, Mr. Nelson's been very good over the years at advising exactly what you're going in for.
We do have a list, and we're getting ready to pass the resolution as to why we're going in executive session tonight. Tax certs are not on the agenda for executive session tonight. And if that's the last person who wants to speak, do we have any further people who wanted to speak? All right, then I would make a motion that we go back into general session.
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and so then the resolution that we're reading about going into executive session is as follows. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following. The first is discussions regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation, Emberger versus town. The second is the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation. Matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. In this case, hiring, not all the other things. And to discuss matters which are exempt under the open meeting law, including matters subject to attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that no action appropriating money will be taken during executive session. So moved?
Second.
All those,
Was there mention on there about AFSCME versus town illegibly under Emberger?
AFSCME versus town, as well as Emberger versus town. Yes, thank you. I missed that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, we'll go into executive session. Thank you again very much.
Thank you, everyone.